Did the UFC just gamble its biggest payday and leak the plan that could change everything? We'll get into that soon, but first let's go to Tom Aspinall, who didn't ask for drama. He's busy polishing the interim strap he won in record time, but drama knocked anyway. Suddenly, Coach Dean Thomas blurts on a comedy podcast that the UFC is lining up Aspinall versus Cyril Gane for June's UFC 317 main event. The news hits like a left hook feint, slick, swift, and, if true, potentially divisional whiplash. Remember, this was supposed to be Jon Jones's grand unification with either Aspinall or Stipe Miocic. Instead, Jones is requesting a 6-month camp, claiming an epic skill gap to bridge while quietly cropping movie cameos. Fans, already rubbed raw by layoffs and interim belts, sense a familiar pattern. Jones's clock runs at his pace, everyone else waits. The outcry is instant. Let the division move. Because postponing heavyweights is like bottling thunder. It only builds pressure. If the UFC does tap Gane, the French striker who melted Derek Lewis yet folded under Jon's wrestling, the matchup sells on kinetics alone. Aspinall's sniper-quick entries colliding with Gane's footwork ballet. But the real intrigue? The message it sends to Jones. Deny the champ his timeline, present a new marquee, and suddenly the GOAT must chase the moment instead of dictating it. Whether Thomas's slip was sanctioned hype or rogue intel, one truth stands tall. Heavyweight impatience is finally boiling over, but the shockwave...
Jon Jones is probably watching this, so send him a message.
Hello, Jon. I have nothing against you personally, but I just think I'm better than you. I just know that I can beat you in a fight, so I'm coming for it.
Doesn't stop at 265 pounds. Alex Pereira fights like a man on an egg timer. Every tick echoes vengeance. October saw him dethrone Jiri Prochaska. March witnessed Magomed Ankalaev snatch the belt back. And now, insiders insist Chicago's August PPV hosts the Trilogy Tilt. That would mark Pereira's third walk in 11 months, an unheard-of tempo for a 205-pound knockout artist who moonlights in glory-level kickboxing. Why sprint so recklessly? Pride and predator instinct. Ankalaev's suffocating clinch neutralized Poatan's signature left hook, and Pereira's camp can't stomach leaving that blemish to age. They've already dissected Ankalaev's takedown chains, dialing in new collar tie escapes and knee shield counters. The venue itself raises stakes. Chicago's raucous Brazilian-Polish diaspora splits allegiances, stoking storyline heat. Yet the scheduling puzzle looms. The UFC hasn't even named a UFC 317 headliner, so slotting Poatan for 319 suggests Dana White is juggling calendars like flaming batons. Pereira doesn't mind. He's turned training camps into a martial arts road trip, forging acumen through ceaseless competition, calling it warrior's rent, the price you pay to stay feared. If he recaptures gold fast, the narrative flips, the wild gunslinger who survives Russian wrestling to reign again. If he stumbles, critics will say the pedal-to-metal schedule burned him out. Either way, August won't arrive quietly. And speaking of pressure cookers, the welterweight throne may crack even sooner.
Bom, essa era a estratégia, como eu falei. Eu estudei algumas lutas dele, eu vi que ele é cara que cansa com mais facilidade. Todo mundo cansa, mas ele é cara que cansa mais fácil. Então eu vi esse ponto fraco que eu tentei explorar e eu consegui, né? Comecei na manha ali, tentando fazer ele errar, mas ele estava muito esperto.
Belal. Remember the name. Muhammad isn't here for 5-round marathons. He swears Jack Della Maddalena will break inside 3. Bold words considering JDM just folded veteran Vicente Luque and choked BJJ icon Craig Jones in a gym video that had grappling purists gasping. Oddsmakers still lay their chips on the reigning champ. Wrestling usually smothers artistry, but Belal's bravado lights the pre-fight fuse. He's posting cage wall sprints, altitude mask swims, the kind of footage that screams, "I'm peaking, not plateauing." Across the globe, Jack's sharpening elbows in Perth and reminding everyone he owns the cleaner boxing. Stylistic tension is delicious. Pressure wrestler versus rhythm puncher. Yet the chatter escalates beyond technique when Khamzat Chimaev lobs a meme grenade at Belal, captioning a tiny pony Bully B at 170. It's playful until it isn't. Fans flood comments demanding Chimaev versus Muhammad, maybe at middleweight since Khamzat's 185 ambitions remain unresolved. Belal claps back, sporting a self-made tee of their fantasy matchup and smirking, going to middleweight. Nothing sells pay-per-views like two undefeated streaks angling to collide, and every insult seeds future hype. For now, Belal's calendar shows May 10th and a single directive: make Jack fold before the championship rounds. If prophecy holds, new storylines bloom. If it fails, the welterweight deck reshuffles overnight. And a different kind of jab, one thrown online, just fueled that fire even more.
Damage, really. I think at the end of the fight, if anything, he was the one on the floor leaking, about to get stopped. You know what I mean? So if I was already broken, you're about to get stopped. One more minute of that fight, you would have got stopped. You know what I mean? So, yeah, the way he talks, he just doesn't.
The image is ridiculous. A squat, shaggy pony staring into camera, and above it, Khamzat types, "Where you sticking your nose, pony?" Social media explodes. Some laugh, others accuse mind games. The meme's genius is subtle. It calls Belal small while elevating Khamzat as the warhorse in a single swipe. Muhammad's counterpunch t-shirt flips mockery into marketing, daring the UFC to book their collision. But behind the humor lurks strategic calculus. Chimaev's path to a title shot at 185 feels foggy with Dricus du Plessis and Israel Adesanya circling. A high-profile detour to challenge Belal could catapult him into double champ discourse, take welterweight gold, then storm middleweight with leverage. Meanwhile, Belal senses crossover fame, maybe his ticket to mainstream notoriety long denied by grinded-out wins. Fans dissect Instagram breadcrumbs, dates on training partners' posts, footage of Chimaev drilling southpaw stance, Belal testing middleweight-sized sparring partners. The algorithm algorithmically rewards the speculation, and suddenly, number Belal Chimaev trends worldwide without a contract in sight. For the UFC, it's free advertisement. For the fighters, a dangerous promise. Online slights can become real-life elbows quicker than you can tap post. And transformations aren't just virtual. One contender just sculpted a whole new frame.
Guys, you know what's happening in the world now, right now? I wasn't happy in the cage. Fight this week. Oh, see the kids dying. It doesn't matter. Whatever in the world, Ukraine and Syria, Afghanistan.
7 weeks out from UFC Atlanta, Joaquin Numansa Buckley pulls off his hoodie on camera and jaws drop. Veins like map routes, delts carved like obsidian. He's gone from middleweight stocky to superhero chiseled. Buckley admits the change wasn't aesthetics, it was penance. "You gotta be enslaved to the craft," he says, voice trembling between pride and exhaustion. He scrapped late-night pizza, swapped nightclub lights for dawn sprints, and hired a sleep coach who texts him bedtime reminders like a drill sergeant. On the opposite side, former welterweight king Kamaru Usman watches tape, recognizing the physical metamorphosis but banking on experience. Usman's game is rail-straight wrestling and piston jabs. He's seen hype physiques before. Yet Buckley's confidence is infectious. He's talking holistic overhaul, journaling for mental clarity, cold plunges at 5 a.m., everything feeding a singular intention: take the throne. If he stuns Usman, he leaps from viral KO artist to legitimate title threat. If he falters, critics will chalk the muscles up to smoke and mirrors. Win or lose, the footage will loop on social feeds. Proof that reinvention is the modern fighter's currency. But some warriors aren't flexing. They're stuck in ranking purgatory. Sean Brady just beat Leon Edwards in London and vaulted to #1. Yet he's reading headlines about Ian Gary begging for a title shot and Shavkat Rakhmonov tipped as next in line. On his podcast, Brady sounds equal parts bemused and boiling. If Belal wins, I'm probably fighting him. If Jack wins, Islam Makhachev might move up. It's madness. The numbers back him. Top contender slot, unbeaten streak still glossy, yet matchmaking logic bends for louder narratives. Enter Charles Oliveira's manager, Diego Lima, throwing another wrench. If Makhachev truly eyes 170, he should vacate lightweight gold or face an interim belt scenario. That threat puts two divisions on standby. Lightweight hopefuls Ilia Topuria and Oliveira train blindly, not knowing if they'll chase undisputed, interim, or nothing. Meanwhile, Islam Dulatov withdraws from UFC 317 due to lingering illness, removing one rising name from the conversation and widening the power vacuum. The UFC has a traffic jam at its most bankable weight classes, and every press conference becomes a negotiation for relevance. Brady jokes he'd fight anyone, but beneath it sits a warning. When everyone's a next guy, nobody is. And that existential dilemma bleeds straight into how legends choose to exit.
Yeah, that's how you beat Leon. The blueprint was kind of written in a lot of his fights, and I just did it a lot better than I think anybody else has been able to do it. Leon's a very technical fighter, but when you make it a real hard
Matt, the immortal Brown, owns some of the sport's nastiest elbow KOs, yet his take on retirement is brutally conservative. On The Fighter versus the Writer, he argues that announcing a final fight is flirting with disaster. You're risking your life against a man with both feet in when you have 1 foot out, he says, echoing Dana White's long-held stance. Brown's perspective isn't armchair chatter. He once faced Robbie Lawler when both were rumored to be mulling retirement, and he felt the psychological weight. Doubt creeps where killer instinct should live. Recent examples abound. Anthony Smith hinting at a final walk, Robbie Lawler's farewell win, but Brown insists those are exceptions that prove the rule. In a sport defined by focus and ferocity, the idea of planning an exit undermines the primal commitment required inside the cage. His words land heavier as Jon Jones negotiates time off and other champs eye double-division glory. If mental hesitation is poison, prolonged career maneuvering might be a slow drip of the same toxin. The takeaway is chilling. Every strategic delay risks turning an apex predator into prey, which circles us back to the enormous question hovering over 2025. The UFC's chessboard has never looked so kinetic or so combustible. Heavyweight gold might shift without Jon Jones ever lacing his gloves. A vengeful kickboxer could reclaim light-heavy glory before summer's end. Welterweight champions face challengers on 2 fronts: the knockout surgeon in Perth and the meme-flinging marauder from Chechnya. Reinvented bodies, crowded ladders, restless legends, all colliding in a promotion that hates the word stall. Will this rapid-fire matchmaking unleash the greatest run of title fights in modern history, or will overbooked calendars, interim belts, and 6-month training demand splinter divisions beyond repair? The next few months hold the answer, and every leaked whisper or late-night Instagram spar adds another log to an already roaring fire.
And obviously you don't get this far in a career being affected by fans or whatnot, but he's just an asshole, you know, with his... he's 30, so he's from this influencer generation where you hop online and the t-shirt sales and all that.
So keep an eye on Chicago, Atlanta, and that still nameless UFC 317 banner, because if combat sports have taught us anything, it's that the line between masterstroke and meltdown is razor thin. Which side will the UFC land on? Stick around, the story's only getting louder.